You and I have worked together long enough that I think that you understand that I say this in the most loving and understanding terms. You look a bit beat up.
I feel beat up.
Is it because you made that drive 3 times in the last 24 hours?
Yes.
You looked like you're wearing that drive. I mean, everyone here looks a bit tired.
Right. I mean, I took a bird back from Chicago. I got no sleep Sunday night. I made the drive on Monday, went home on Monday, came back on Monday, went home again on Monday, and here I am again.
Oh, and I understand why you're tired. Billy, do you have any theories beyond the two of you? I don't know that I would describe efficiency between the two of you as like a real strong strength of the pairing. But do you have any understanding of when we live in a place, we work in a place that is a hotel, basically, why it is that Stugotz would choose to drive back and forth an hour each way between shows yesterday, after the show? Like, I'm genuinely curious as to why you wouldn't just get a room and stay here and would choose instead to do 4 extra hours of driving.
I found out about last night, yesterday in the morning from our makeup person. And she's great, by the way, but that's how I found out that we were doing a watch-along last night. I left my weed at home.
Well, there seem to be plenty here.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Yes.
The makeup person told you that Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes were coming. So if they were doing that, then you knew there would be weed here.
But is it the larger problem that I'm finding this out from the makeup lady?
I would say that is a problem, but I would say the largest problem is your general inefficiency, because I've seen
and my health.
I've seen you do this before when this isn't the case. It's strange to me and makes me wonder what I don't know about your need. There was no real need for you to go back and forth. You could have either slept here,
right,
or just
or
just taken the afternoon. Given that we left here yesterday at 2 and we're back at 7, it makes next to no sense that you drove back and forth.
Right, but I did so anyway. And sometimes, Dan, you just got to sleep in your own bed. You do.
But what about the afternoon?
I told you, marijuana.
Okay. I don't.
The Knicks are up 1-0, Dano.
Yeah, they are. The refs cheated last night. We'll talk about that in a second.
Knock it off.
Refs are up 1-0.
You say knock it off, Stugotz,
but
if that had played out that way and Indiana had gotten those calls, you would be insane today. Like you would be if those calls had gone Indiana's way.
Right.
If what went New York's way had been done by Indiana, if the Knicks
Knicks benefited from some bad calls by the refs at the end of the game. They're not the first team to do that. They're not going to be the last team to do that. But get over it.
I mean, but no, they actually were the last basketball team to do that.
You're right.
They were. Yeah. They were the most recent one to do it.
Yes.
That's why the regular season matters, Dan. You win the game, so you get the home cooking in the playoffs.
Yep, little home cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Over to my right now, I have a man who walked in today, and I don't know if you guys noticed this because he got into an argument with his wife about it.
He looks better than I do.
That is not saying much as far as distinctions go.
Well, thank you.
But he came in today, and he was wearing shorts that are very short and a long...
Very short? What are you talking about? They're shorts.
And a long-sleeve dress shirt. And his wife told him when he left the house, you look like someone who either forgot to put on his jeans or forgot to put on the correct shirt. And he's arguing with both her and me about this as a look.
Right. It's a beautiful look. You made me roll up my sleeves. You know, that's workplace
Can we start
bullying.
the show so we can see the look?
I mean,
you look good.
What's wrong with this outfit?
It's a good look, Greg.
You know, it's my preppy look. Mm-hmm. You know,
No,
paint the picture, Greg.
We
for
should
those
do more of this.
who can't see you. Paint
okay,
the picture.
I'm wearing decent length black shorts and a black and blue checked. I do look a little like a waiter.
Would love to see it.
Yeah, we're not on video yet.
Okay,
Shortly we'll be on
Theater of the
video.
mind.
I'm describing it as best I can. It
Painting
was
pictures.
There'll be a big
beautiful
reveal.
look.
Like it'll be a growing anticipation, and then ta-da! Lucy, it's nice to see you. You are also tired and wish you hadn't come in last night.
Look, I agreed to come in because I am a team player, but I will say that I agreed to come in before I remembered that the Met Gala was the same night. So I was stuck in a tough situation, but I made it work.
Where's Lucy? I can't see her.
Juju.
What?
No one around here is
Painting
more
pictures, Mike.
right than you today, sir. No one around here. I heard you were at the bar making laps last night. I told you so laps.
Yep, random the bathroom man in the bathroom. Yep, he know I'm right too. Everybody in the club, they know I'm right. Salute to Anthony Edwards. Salute to the Joker. Like I said, brother, they just look raggedy. The whole Nuggets organization. Without Bruce Brown, what can you do?
I don't think, I mean, you will correct me if you think I'm wrong about this as our basketball expert, but the combination on the perimeter suffocating Jamal Murray of McDaniels and Anthony Edwards is the reason that Jamal Murray is going to be throwing ice packs that entire series in
It was
frustration.
a heating pad.
Yeah, heating pad.
It's a fine.
Okay, that's the reason that he's going to be frustrated the entirety of this series. That he
Opposite of a heating pad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution.
Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the.
Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I don't have recent history in front of me, but when you go down losing your first 2 home games in a playoff series, you're pretty much done. And I don't know if Jamal Murray's going to get healthier over the next 10 days or so, but the Denver Nuggets have been held to 80 points in a game since when? Can you guys give me any idea when the last time was that the Denver Nuggets shot low 30% and scored 80 points in a basketball game with Jamal Murray going 3 for 18?
You played this game yesterday, and it was the last game. So, I mean,
The game I played yesterday was what's the last time Jokic had 6 turnovers and Stugotz countered with he had 7 turnovers a game ago. And I was really checkmated in that spot.
sorry.
I don't think I'm going to be in this one, though. I think I'm going to win this
Feeling
game.
good?
When I ask you guys, when's the last time the Denver Nuggets scored 80 in a basketball game? I don't think you're going to come up with a lot of answers for me that have Jokic playing in that game. But
January 25th, they had 84 points against the New York Knicks.
Not 80.
yeah, it's a dreadful point total. And can you guys help me? I mean, you help me with this. Because I don't like to say series are done on champions, but when you lose the first 2 at home, and I've got no evidence that your point guard is going to be able to do anything with what it is that they do on perimeter defense.
And you win one without Gobert. I mean,
well, not win one, but blow them out.
Yeah.
And again, I think the most important thing in that series that is something that isn't being talked about enough when it comes to this postseason. Load management didn't do shit for keeping the important players healthy this time of year, and the injuries are a problem. And Minnesota might be able to beat Denver under all circumstances, but when Jamal Murray is like this, then you can let Jokic, you can bother Jokic, and you can let him get his, and where else is Denver going to get their scoring? It's not going to come from Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter if Jamal Murray's not creating. Like, he's a pivotal piece to how it is all of those ingredients work offensively. And he's got a problem on his hands because I'm not sure there are 2 guys on the perimeter who on one team who are going to bother him more than these 2 guys who are pretty suffocating with their athleticism. And Stugotz, I think, as Juju takes his victory lap, we've had the changing of the guard, right? Like, because people are now talking about Anthony Edwards in breathless terms, and wait till they get a load of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this round and the next round, because there are a whole lot of people discovering these players right now.
Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards are both excellent players on both sides of the ball that America is going to fall in love with. Anthony Edwards probably more so for a couple of reasons. One, he has a very, very outgoing personality. Number two, he's American as opposed to Canadian. And
number 3 is not on that commercial.
Number 4, his shoes are spectacular.
Number 5, he could jump. I mean,
Dan, to answer a couple of your questions, number 1, the last time the Nuggets scored 80 points in a game was 2018 against the Spurs. They lost 112-80.
Before Jokic, in other words. Before, like, he was really the
2018? No, he was. I mean, he
before
was
he was
good.
a star.
Okay, before he was MVP, sure. And then your other question, as far as teams losing the first 2 games at home and come back to win the series, it's happened 6 times in NBA history.
When's the last time that Bulls Wade team that as an 8 seed almost advanced?
Well, that's not. That's almost coming back, right?
Oh yeah. But the team that went down 0-2, who was it? Boston.
Boston last year.
Yeah.
last year it happened.
2023 Warriors against the Kings.
Yes.
It is hard to come back from this under all circumstances, especially hard if your point guard is hurt. And he's not right, and I don't know when he's going to get right. And it's an enormous injury. He might play through it the way Embiid played through it, but it makes them a different team than the one that's a champion.
They're saying he might even get suspended for his antics yesterday.
Can we show some of those antics? Because Stugotz and Cody correctly corrected me, as opposed to what's been happening the last couple of days where I get incorrected. Mm-hmm. But they said that I said the opposite of a heating pad, which was an ice pack. He had not thrown an ice pack. He threw a heating pad.
2-0-2.
And that's right. The Bruins are now 3-0-2 against the Panthers this season, according to Stugotz, even though they're 5-0 against the Panthers this season.
They're 1-0 in their last one.
They're 0-1 in their last one, according to Stugotz, because he doesn't know how to read the NHL standings, the overtime rules, or anything. We'll get to Panthers in a second, because losing 5-1 at home, I'm as scared of the Bruins as I am of Tampa, incidentally, if you're a Panthers fan, because that Bruins team is every bit as good as the Panthers, and that's no slight on the Panthers, and have beaten them every time they played them. So we'll get to that in just a second. But let me see all of the angles that we have, again, please, of Jamal Murray throwing things on the court in frustration. And also, let's get to Stugotz's, what top 5 list do you have? Just healing devices? Top 5 healing devices?
Because Greg and I love a good heating pad, and Dan, you don't go all willy-nilly with a heating pad. They're valuable. People care about them. They do.
Right, and anybody could have slipped on that. The referee, the
Correct.
opposing
Dangerous.
team, your team, the Joker. God forbid the Joker would have fell on that. Oh my God, the Joker of the year.
Number 5, Stugotz, or do you have some OLI on top 5 heating pads or top 5 healing devices of all time?
I do. I have, that's my voice. That's the nicotine, my number 1 nick of all time. I have 4 OLIs.
All right, and it's just healing devices.
Healing devices, yes.
All of medicine and science and history at our disposal.
Correct, yes. Greg and I put this together.
Oh,
yeah.
it's a, whoa,
Yeah.
it's a collab?
Yes.
All right.
I didn't add much. I'm
No.
going to say that.
Okay,
so
but
if it's
I'll read them, Greg.
But
I
it's
got
a
it.
top
Right.
5 list featuring Greg Cody is what you're saying.
Correct.
All
yes.
right, very
With
good. OLI.
Theragun.
with Theragun. Wow.
That's an OLI.
Yeah.
I love my dad acting shocked at the list, even though he helped do it.
That's strong. Theragun.
Who else is OLI?
Salon pause. Love those things.
Yeah, love saying the word.
Yeah.
Salon pause.
I legitimately don't know what you're talking about. Don't have any
Really?
idea.
You don't know
that
what
is.
salon paws are?
Don't know.
Well,
Don't. I.
jeez.
Not only do I not know what that is.
Billy has them.
Okay, of course he does. I wish he hadn't held it up only because I would have tried to spell that. I thought it was 2 words. I thought it was a salon
Try to
and
spell
like
it,
an
try to spell
animal's
it.
paws. But so
It's
what?
paws.
But what is that? What does that do? Forgive me. How does that heal?
Well, this one's a pain relieving patch. So you put it on, your lower
great.
back.
Yeah.
Here, my shoulder's been, acting up. My trick shoulder, as they call it, has been acting up a bit. So I have one here to put on later. Smells delicious.
I mean, which is the one that Shaq does? Because I associate
Icy
this
Hot patch.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you guys remember when Icy Hot had the vibrating patch that you would put on and it would shake, and that was supposed to do something to you?
It sure did shake.
Man up.
OLI, Stugotz.
60-minute deep tissue. Not 90, not 120, 60 minutes. Too much, too sore.
When's the last time Genesis came by, speaking of which?
No idea.
I invited her last night. She was out of town.
Oh.
And you're wrong that 90 minutes isn't better than 60 minutes.
It's too much. It hurts.
And you're wrong.
I'm talking deep tissue, not Swedish,
I
okay?
know. Yeah, no, I get it. I got it. I understand
It's
what you're
my list.
saying.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay. More. Well, it's
One more.
It's Cody's too. It's not just yours.
It's our list.
It's not just your list.
You're
it's
right.
also featuring Greg Cody.
With, yeah.
Fine.
OLI.
Ben Gay.
No classic. That, man.
It is an old classic.
All of those would be good as top 5. So let's hear the top 5. Number 5.
3 Tylenol. Not 2, not 4. 4 is dangerous. Might not be able to drive. 3 is the perfect amount.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is 3 Tylenol the perfect amount? Because I think that's bad. I think that's also bad for you.
That's telling on yourself.
That's heading toward a
Yeah, when 2 doesn't do it for you
painkiller
anymore.
addiction.
You got other stuff going on when 2 doesn't do it for you.
And you got to take the 3 Tylenol with spit like Wild Bill Cody. No water allowed.
That's true.
What?
Love it.
Thank you.
What?
Yeah, my dad always took pills with spit.
Thank you. That stuff is shit.
Like Wild Bill,
He took it. He took it as a real sign of something. I'm not sure what. But he his whole life he took pills with spit. Do I do it? Hell no.
We've talked about this on Cinephobe. In the movies, nobody ever takes pills with water. They just throw it in the back of their gullet and go, and that's it.
Damn right.
That's how you do it.
Damn right. What? Like what? What is?
Well,
What?
like if
Bill
Ethan
Cody.
Hunt did that in the Mission Impossible movies, and he's like, "Oh, you're saving the world, but you need water to chug down this Tylenol." No, you're gonna.
Yeah, you got a bad headache. There's no water around. What are you gonna do? Suffer?
I understand, but what if there's water around? You're choosing this as an option, even if there's water
No,
around.
Wild
You
Bill
don't
did.
need it.
Yeah.
You don't need water
Right.
for a lot of things we use water for. You don't have to wet your toothbrush. Do a dry toothbrush.
Waste not, want not.
Yeah.
Throw them in there, tilt the head back.
And
That's
you know it.
And you know it.
Thank you.
That was kind of what happened to your energy level. The and you know it was kind of. I'm not used to them coming out lazy, indifferent.
It was an afterthought, quite frankly.
Yeah, can you do better?
I can do better, but I only do better when it's warranted. You know.
Sorry? What?
You need inspiration. What's my motivation? Because being paid for doing a show would be a pretty good
Okay, but
warranted for
look,
having the proper energy.
Okay, I respect the phrase, and you know it. Okay, I try not to overuse it. I try not to use it in an exaggerated manner when, quite frankly, brushing your teeth without water is something that not a lot of people do know. So I said,
Brushing
and-
your teeth?
Yeah, brushing your teeth without water. Do a dry.
Weren't we talking about?
a dry brush?
Did I miss something there?
I
we were
feel
talking
like you
about
need
pills.
water for the
Both.
suds, for the toothpaste,
No,
like
you don't.
water. Yeah, I
No.
mean you don't need it, but it just makes everything a little bit better.
In your opinion.
Dan, I'll back up Greg on this one. They say you're not supposed to rinse out. You're supposed to brush your teeth and just leave that toothpaste in there until
Right.
it dries up.
Thank you, Amin.
Let the toothpaste do its work.
Sometimes
right?
I just chug fluoride on the way in.
Get it, Dan?
That's a different argument than whether you should wet your toothbrush before you get started, just to have a less dry and abrasive experience with your gums.
Well, you have the
want
spit in your
abrasive.
mouth. Yeah.
You want abrasive.
Exactly right.
It's our list.
You know,
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do. Here's why.
So I went to the dentist last week. Guess what? No cavities. Good for
you.
Thank you.
Way to go.
And you want like a soft bristled brush because you don't want it to be too abrasive. Because if you're like really going for it, you're gonna give yourself gum disease.
Gen Z over here.
Yeah.
Back in
No
my
cavities.
day, you went with a Brillo pad.
You did it with sand.
Yeah. You know what you do is you grind up some charcoal.
Sand and a stick is the way I used to brush my teeth
right.
when I was a kid.
Greg, before you go to the dentist, do you have one last big brush? Like, do you do
Oh,
it?
yeah,
you have to.
And that's the time you floss.
Yes. When's the last time you flossed? Today.
Put it on the poll, please.
An hour ago.
At Le Batard Show, just put it on the poll. Do you do one last big brush before you go to the dentist? I want to ask you a question. When Mike Ryan points something out there, he's giving people a glimpse when he says, if you're doing 3 Tylenol, there are an assortment of things that we're either headed to or coming out of that are warning signs and signals. And you've been coming in here limping and talking about how your back is again hurting because you're taking too many flights and that you've called your doctor.
Too many drives, yeah.
And you've called your doctor and said you need another epidural shot. And he says, this is not the way this should work. You need to be doing other things for your back. Do we need to be worried about your pain right now, the amount of pain that you have?
No, I put a Salonpa on my back where it hurts. I feel great now. I'm feeling better. I do. Concern probably last week because I was limping around here, but I have taken care of the problem. Not the way my doctor wants me to. I love the big needle. I do. It's a cure-all. It solves everything. He would not give me the big needle, but Salonpas work for now.
He wouldn't. He refused. Your doctor is moderating how much healing he gives you because he thinks that you need to take care of yourself better?
He needs 2 years separation before he can administer another big needle.
This is exactly how Michael Jackson died. Too many big needles.
I love a big needle.
Number 4.
Number 4, a heating pad, Dan.
Classic.
Hall of Fame.
It is a classic.
Too high.
I like the 3-setting heating pad. You know, it's got 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots. I love that heating pad. Old school.
You put it on high for as long as you can stand it.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Then you take it down a notch and take it down another notch. Exactly. It's great.
They say don't fall asleep with it on, please. Just a suggestion.
You guys, you mean to tell me Theragun doesn't make your top 5 and the heating pad, a regular heating pad?
It's our list.
Juju, put it on the poll, please. Is a Theragun better than the heating pad? Number 3.
Nature Bee.
I mean, that's an old school joke that he's making there. From before you were on our show, Stugotz would spend time with someone who had a blue leisure suit.
The great Mike Buck.
Yes. I was getting there. Blue leisure suit.
NatureBee.com.
It was one of our best and daily sponsors, and Stugotz was very good at getting money from sponsors. Number 2.
The Dove Healer.
Another classic. And I think that's a bracelet that someone wore in order to get better of all that ails you, including sadness.
Yes.
And
wait, this is a sponsor?
Yes. Yeah, they spent about $11,000 a month for about 4 months. I think they paid for 2 of those months. That's how we did it at $7.90 the ticket. But Murph convinced me if you stick this thing on any part of your body that hurts, the pain will go away.
Hold on.
Murph was our CFO.
You guys went on air.
That's right.
Hawking.
That's right.
A bracelet that would heal you all your pain.
Yeah, well, I want to see what his number 1 is because I'm about to give you another one that's better than both of those two. Number 1.
Straight bag of ice.
Another Hall of Famer.
Good. That's a first ballot.
30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, 30 minutes on. You might want to do some heat in between, but 30 minutes. Straight bag of ice. Larry Bird style.
Juju also.
Tom Seaver?
Also put
Weird.
Steve Carlton.
Lefty.
Stick your left arm in a bucket of rice.
You just got the big unit thing on your shoulder.
I love being able to share this with you and Lucy because this is from a different time. There was a period of time that Stugotz was hawking something called New Bag, which is a eucalyptus scent in the event that you didn't want to shower for just your nether regions.
Hold on now.
Yeah,
I'm not joking.
Yeah, ball spray. It was really ahead of the game.
Yep.
It was really years ahead of its time.
I think we had a feature with that sponsorship.
Sack of the week.
Sack of the week, yeah.
The NFL
I think we might actually have imaging in the J drive. Let me look for it.
Let's see if we can.
Let's
see if we can find. How many months was that something that was on our air? A eucalyptus spray in the event that you wanted to not shower.
Wait.
And now it's time for the Sack of the Week. The Sack of the Week is presented by New Bag, the iconic male freshening spray made by a local skincare company. You can get New Bag online at nubag.tv.
I miss the big boys.
Yeah, me too.
So we would do that, and then we would play like Freeney gets a Brady. And that would be the segment.
I'd like to state for the record and for history that Juju Gotti is wearing a hat that comes down to about his nose, sunglasses, and was trying to hide behind the computer. And I could still see all of the shame on his face being associated with how disgusting this show is.
New bag.
He wanted to leave, he wanted a door, a portal from where he is to someplace else that wasn't in this room with these disgusting people.
Those sponsors are what sports radio is all about. I mean, if you're selling sports radio and you don't have something like New Bag on your station, you're not selling sports radio.
The top shows right now, they all have a wipe of some sort. Like New Bag was well ahead of its time.
Yep.
Dude wipes.
This is like finding out that Harvey Dent actually
Cody, go sit in the penalty box. There's a reason he phrased it that way. Get out. Just get out. Why? Because we give commercial advertising to sponsors who pay us. Nobody else.
Like New Bag.
I didn't know that.
Why? Take your shirt and your 2 short shorts and get out of here.
Sometimes we do it with clients who don't pay us. I mean,
Greg got on the same shirt as Craig from Friday for the other America.
I thought Mike Buck was like the founder of Nature Bee. He was
no,
just
that was
their
Jeff Cook.
Yeah, no, it still exists. I'm on their website.
Oh, yeah.
Is Mike still around? Because Mike was a local DJ from Hawaii.
Yes.
That Jeff Cook contracted to do these calls.
I actually have a clip of Mike Buck.
Aloha, Dan Le Batard. This is Mike Buck in Honolulu. Remember the Nature Bee guy?
So Mike Buck,
Was that a coupler?
Good audio.
Mike Buck is now the public information officer at the state of Hawaii since 2023.
A perfect job for him.
Yeah. He looks great.
PIO.
Not a gray hair.
It's all that bee pollen.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't
Clean
you-
green New Zealand.
Didn't you, Stugotz, have some sort of business card making you an ambassador for Nature Bee, a bee-assador?
Yes, I did. I was very proud of it. I mean,
You don't have it anymore?
no.
What?
They stopped spending. I got rid of the card.
They spent a lot. They were with us for a long time.
They were our biggest advertiser for many, many years. Crazy.
I Googled New Bag. It does not exist anymore. It doesn't even exist on the internet. Like, there's no mention of it.
Check the Dove Healer.
Did you spell it with a U? I think there was an umlaut.
It was so far ahead of its time, I mean, that they couldn't survive. We should do a documentary. Metalark should do a documentary on how ahead of the time it was on men being disgusting. Oh, wow. They found an old photo of the blue leisure suit and Mike Buck having exactly the hair you would think that he would have. He was a titan in the industry. Thank you, Video, for finding that.
Stugotz is as high as I imagined.
So young, too.
That
I
is
mean,
3 Tylenol.
yeah.
That face is
That might be 4.
that face is thin. Both those faces are thin right there. They're much
Right.
thinner than they are now.
But even back then, you could see, like, unhealthiness in my future. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah, thanks.
How many Tylenol was Ben Affleck on?
That is something. Hold on a second here.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Ben Affleck got a lot of criticism yesterday on our show when we did 2 or 3 segments too many on the Tom Brady roast. And Ben Affleck was one of the big losers from the night. I really was startled and remain startled that Ben Affleck fled the stage without, like, dapping up anybody, hugging anybody. Like, he just beelined for, man, that wasn't good what I just did. I'd like to do what Juju just did and run away from my shame and this participation in this event. That was very hard what I did. They made me go after all of those people because I'm a famous person and I'm not a comedian and I didn't have anything funny. Let me get out of here. This was not good for me.
He seemed nervous. He was fidgety.
That last joke was a doozy as well, so I wouldn't want to dap out football players after that either.
What are you implying, Mike?
Teeth.
Oh.
I mean, you're looking like you need to say something, want to say something, but nothing's coming out of your mouth.
There's no trace on the internet of the Dove Healer.
Oh, come on.
I swear to God, you guys are
Murph
just making,
sweared by it.
You guys are making these things
No,
up.
there's no carbon. It's left no carbon footprint. There's nothing that's been left behind.
It was
by,
2005.
Yeah.
It's a
This is-
freewheeling time.
Different time.
This is
Check
my theory.
MySpace.
This is my theory. Stugotz created a shell company that had all these fake products that then sponsored the station, so he could turn around and say, "Look, see, here we go. We're earning money for everything. We're revenue generating." Because there's not a mention, not an old website, not an old commercial.
Yeah, we show billing, not collections. I mean,
Mike, for a long time, has wanted to do an oral history of this show because people like you, Amin, and Lucy would find fascinating some of the stuff that was happening before we got this parasail up in the air. Because imagine Stugotz running a station and taking money from anybody who would give it, again, new bag. Like, ahead of their time or not, those commercials for Sack of the Week were, here's a fresh eucalyptus scent. In the event you don't have time to wash.
I smell like an old bag. I need a new bag.
From the bee acider.
That would have been...
Eucalyptus was very strong in that. It stayed with you for days. I liked it, though.
Yeah.
I was fresh. Every time you do the thing on the pit, just see how you are. It's important in South Florida during football season anyways.
Did you just smell your finger?
No, I mimic smelling my finger. I mean, but that's what everyone does. You take the temp. Oh, I'm crazy.
I mean, I would like your expertise on something here because I am watching the sport of basketball and playoff basketball specifically change so much in the last 5 or 10 years of whatever the Warriors have done to the sport and everyone trying to catch up to the Warriors and what they're doing, that I find myself like legitimately confused by some of the things I see in the playoffs. Just the amount of stuff happening at the rim because people are guarding against the three-pointer and leaving the rim exposed. The style of play that the Pacers play, where they score 117 last night and they're now 0-3 in the playoffs when they score less than 120 because they play faster than everyone else. But the thing I wanted to ask you specifically is, it is, of course, asinine to me that anybody would be comparing anyone playing in these playoffs to Michael Jordan. But now, after seeing Jimmy Butler put up Michael Jordan numbers, and Jalen Brunson has recently done something in the playoffs that's never been done, scoring 40 again and again and again efficiently, he's putting up numbers that have not been seen, not even by Michael Jordan. So what happens after the game last night, and I love Jalen Brunson, at least in part because some of what he's doing is confusing to me. It's like Paul Pierce in a smaller body. It's like you should be more athletic if you're going to hit all of the mid-range stuff because you can score against anybody. And here after the game is now Jalen Brunson getting Michael Jordan stuff.
What's telling you that you have to score? No one scored 40 in 4 games with Michael Jordan. What's telling you you have to do this right now? Jordan?
Stop.
And I think that's Stugotz's reaction. It's my reaction. And the thing I wanted to ask you is, should we get used to this, that the numbers have been so distorted that people are going to put up Michael Jordan numbers now and they're not going to be Michael Jordan, and then we're going to do this stuff where we compare them to Michael Jordan?
I think the numbers have leveled out from where we were early in the season, where it felt like every week someone was getting 60 or 70 points. There was a clear code red called in the league office, and they said, hey, man, the 90s are back, and everyone's been fighting ever since. I mean, a lot of these playoffs have been exemplified by wrestling matches all over the floor, and everyone's wondering where the foul call is. It's what made the end of last night so surprising, is that they would call a very benign moving screen like that after 47 and a half minutes of just hand-to-hand combat. But I think what Jalen Brunson is doing is legitimately remarkable. Like, I don't think that's a case of, well, it's the game has changed and, you know, it's easier to score now. I think he's doing something quite remarkable in the face of very physical defense, maybe not by the Pacers, but certainly by the Sixers in the last round.
But Jimmy Butler did that too, and neither of these people are Michael Jordan. How are they putting up numbers that Michael Jordan never put up? Like, how is that happening if the players I know to not be Michael Jordan, even in this era, like they are not comparatively the two guys we're talking about? If you tell me Anthony Edwards, you want to enter that realm with a 22-year-old growing, I'd say okay. But Jimmy Butler and Jalen Brunson in this era are not separating themselves from the guys in that league who can be compared to to Michael Jordan.
I would say Jalen Brunson is quickly approaching the part where, yes, he is on that list.
It's 40 games per night, Dan. I mean,
40 points.
40
also
points.
Michael Jordan's 4 points, 4 games in a row with 40 points happened in the finals. So
yes,
like
right.
Stugotz say, let's just
do it in the finals.
You dig me?
Right. Plus, Brunson is taken out. Biggest possession last night, Dan. He's on the bench because he's a defensive liability. Jordan was not. He was one of the best defensive players we've ever seen. It's ridiculous to compare anyone to Michael Jordan. It's why the guys don't want to sit. There's a pressure that comes with it.
But Stugotz, I would say that almost no one who is talking about Michael Jordan in remembering him is talking about the defense. Next to no one is factoring that in. That's not they. In fact, before they go to defense, they go to clutch and things done in late moments that aren't defense. Even though the way he won against Utah, it wasn't even just the shot. It's that he made they pickpocketed Karl Malone in the post before that when they had the ball. Let's talk a little more about what happened last night, though. I mean, in real time, because I didn't think our show at least in part because we're happy for Stugotz, and Stugotz is a Knicks fan. The kid Mero is going to join us here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I don't believe I was aghast, but not everyone here reacted the way the internet did to having that game decided with 12 seconds left by not a player.
We were aghast over here. Me, Juju, Tony, everyone was like, "Whoa, what kind of call was that?" That was a crazy call to have at the end of the game. The only people who weren't aghast were Taylor and Stugotz.
And UConn, they weren't aghast. They seen this shit before.
Right.
Juju called that last night.
I mean, I've had 2 decades of misery. Can I get a couple of calls without people complaining about them? All right, we got some calls. We won the game. We took Indiana's best shot, and we still won the game. We won the game playing their pace. I mean,
their best shot has Halliburton scoring 6 points.
Well, if you want to blame someone, stop blaming the referees, because that guy is supposed to be an all-star. He's supposed to be their best player. He gave them nothing last night in game 1. Nothing.
He's also hurt. He's another one.
I don't want to hear it. Everyone's hurt now.
Well, Brunson's not hurt.
I mean, you do have a max contract that's hurt. Of course, you're better without it, but
I've heard that they could use a second scorer, but they did put up 120 last night. And the end of that game, Stugotz, I just don't believe you'd be making any of these arguments if that illegal screen with 12 seconds.
I'd be blasting the referees, Dan. Your larger point of the Knicks putting up 121 with 5 players who are playing 40-plus minutes every single night, I'm not certain that's sustainable. I am concerned about the Knicks.
But it's not sustainable. I mean, it's sustainable against the Pacers. It's just not sustainable to win the championship.
Right.
They can beat the Pacers because Halliburton isn't healthy, and everything. We had a great time last night. We really did. It was really nice to have Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson around here. And one of the things about their analysis, I mean, you tell me, because I don't know how many. I know Mike's consuming just a ton of basketball podcasts, Maple Leaf podcasts. He's just snorting everything.
Mike is not consuming basketball.
not basketball podcasts. Gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not.
He has the most annoying long-running bit now of like, oh, this happened in the NBA, and it's all like kind of this faux, oh, I'm not paying attention. Oh, it's, oh, Damon Stoudemire retired? When did that happen? Stuff like that. It is so damn annoying. It happens in text. It happens in real life. He came up to me today before the show while I was getting something to eat. He said, hey, I just realized today that there was a game 1 of Wolves Nuggets.
Had no idea. Swear to God. I thought that was game 1 last night. I looked at the series price and I was shocked. And it makes more sense now knowing that the Nuggets are down 0-2. No, it's not. It's not a bit. I've been traveling, but no, totally out of the loop. Had no idea game 3 of the Magic Cavs series happened.
He does this while simultaneously updating me on like, oh, the Brickyard 7000.
Oh my God! What a race at Kansas Motor Speedway! Whoa. 1/100th of a second, the closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history. Wow. Kyle Larson's the best driver on the planet, as you were.
Before we get to that, the question I was going to ask you, is I have not heard what Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes did to Siakam last night and did to the Pacers in their analysis of that team at the end of games doesn't have what you need to have at the end of games. I have not heard former players. They went after Siakam in a way that caught me off guard.
Stack went after Siakam because of a very funny anecdote of playing pickup ball at the Rico Hines run at UCLA in the summertime, and he said Siakam's got no moves. And Stack is a very, that's a calling card of his. It's like if you show yourself to be a certain way, it's hard to change his mind. But what Matt was talking about, and that I agreed, is that the Pacers need an offensive workhorse. And that Halliburton, as great as he is, he needs someone to make better, as opposed to doing what Jalen Brunson does, because that's not the kind of player he is.
Exactly, and it was proof in the pudding last night. Nembhard was taking the final shots of the game. They was doing plays for Nembhard, which is a big indictment on Halliburton and Siakam being the number 1.
That's close.
That's cool.
Look at this finish at Kansas Motor Speedway.
Wow.
I mean, you don't get closer than that.
Oh, my God.
1/1000th of a second is the only way you can get closer than that? That's crazy.
We've left about that much for Greg Cody's thoughts.
Kentucky Derby was closer.
Oh, no. Dear God.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh no. Oh, no.
My man.
No.
Thank you, Stu.
No.
Thank you, Stu.
No.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Stu.
No, he's broken out that jacket. Oh, no. It's early to break out that.
It's never too early, man.
Let's go. By the way, Lewis said off camera, he's like, yo, that jacket is gas. And I said, I agree. You know why? Because it says Knicks on the front of it.
You tell
You know what I'm
him.
saying? That's why. If it said Hornets or something else, it would not be gas.
Yeah, all the same things, but it says Kings. It's not the same thing, right?
Exactly.
3 years
Talk to
ago.
him, Dan. Let him know.
3 years ago, that exact jacket wasn't the same thing. I mean,
Exactly.
But now you wear it with pride, my man.
We wear pride. Like Julian said all those years, we here.
He is our senior Knicks correspondent. 7 p.m. in Brooklyn is the show he does with Carmelo. I urge you to check it out every Thursday on their YouTube channel because he has good chemistry with everyone that he interacts with. The Kid Mero is with us. Give us your thoughts last night on the officiating at the end of that game.
Come on, man. Like it is what it is, B. It is what it is.
Well said.
Okay.
Yep.
At any point in time, one fan base is going to complain about the referees. Until we get robots in the game to referee the games, it's always going to be an issue. You know what I'm saying? And like Tib said, you know what I mean? I'm worried about the 46-minute report. Forget the 2-minute report. I don't care what happens at the end because it doesn't change anything. But they call the game, like you call the game, they let them play.
The 46-minute report is what Josh Hart, what's happening to his knees. It's what Thibodeau, I like to call him Thibs for some reason when I get into the margaritas.
Yeah.
They're
But
playing,
you're sober now.
They're playing too many players. That's why I corrected it as opposed to last night where you needed to correct it. That your bench is thin. Like what happened, I don't know what the final numbers were. At some point it was 43-3. The Pacers bench was outscoring the Knicks bench, and your guys are playing a lot of minutes, but you are falling in love more and more with Jalen Brunson, right? Because who doesn't love, not since, I think Bernard King, I don't know if Melo, we haven't seen what this guy is doing.
Carmelo has never loved the way Jalen Brunson is loved right now at Madison Square Garden.
Let me tell you why. So this is New York, right? And New York loves the underdog, okay? And Melo was already mellow when he arrived in New York. This is part of the situation. Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson's it's like Patagonia stock. Like little by little, he's been like, yo, you know what I mean? Every media personality, myself included, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, yo, I don't know. I was on that stupid, like, yo, he's not the best player on the floor. He sure is. He was like, he must have heard that and was like, yo, you know what? Since y'all said that I'm 6'2", and you can't win with a little guy, and this, that, and third, I'm going to give y'all 40 burgers every night until I beat Mike, and then y'all can't say nothing. And to top it off, bro, we have excellent energy in the Garden. Starberry's in there. LJ's in there. Spree's in there. John Starks is in there, damn near assistant coaching, okay? So the energy is love, bro. It's love. There's a different type of energy in the Garden, bro. It's not about like Melo and Ewing and this guy. It's all those guys, Pat, all those guys coming together and sitting in the arena, in the mecca of basketball and watching this go down. Look at this. Look at the emotion, bro. Look at Starberry, man. Got a star tattooed on his hand. He's a China, bro. That's my guy. You know what I mean? He's hyped, man. We are all hyped. The entire city is holding this energy, man. I'm wearing a jacket inside my house because I'm so hyped. I turn my wife and say, yo, turn the AC up for a second real quick. Open all the windows while I do Dan Le Batard Show, man. God damn it. Thank you, Stu.
And yet TJ McConnell almost did y'all in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What was the feeling like midway through that second half and TJ McConnell's cooking y'all?
Terrified.
Oh, listen, bro. I wasn't even tripping. I wasn't even worried because for the first time in years, bro, I'm like, yo, the Knicks got this. You feel me? There's a different level of confidence, bro. Like, it must have felt like having Mike on your team back in the day or like Kobe or something where you're like, yo, fan, now we got this. It don't matter. We got this. It don't matter. Yeah.
I want to support him, but I'm with the chickens. I mean, I was terrified.
Stugotz,
TJ McConnell, look at me in my eyes, yo. You thought TJ McConnell was going to defeat Jalen Brunson?
Yeah, but it was Obi Toppin doing between the leg dunks. I mean, the whole thing terrified
You guys
me,
were
man.
shitting bricks when he did that.
Anybody want an NFT?
He did that. He had to.
Mero,
he did it for us.
At the
He
end,
did it for us.
let me explain to
He
you.
did it for us.
We were doing a watch party last night, and Stugotz, with 26 seconds left, while we're talking about do the Pacers need to foul on purpose here, you've got the ball, you're up by 1, and Stugotz is just muttering, this is bad. Something bad is going to happen. You're up 1 with the ball.
Because let me tell you something. Because that has been the norm for so long. Yo, fam, you know what it's like. Y'all have pets. Who has pets? I know. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, listen. If your dog is a rescue, it takes a little while for them to get used to. They're used to being abused, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're used to being mistreated. They're a little skittish.
You're good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They worry. That's a Knicks fan. We're a rescue dog. We're skittish. We're a little weary of good things. If you have a treat in your hand, we're suspicious of the treat. You know what I mean? That's what Knicks fans are, okay?
Yeah.
And now we're in a good home in a suburb of New Jersey. We live next to a baseball player that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing good, and we could poop outside in the yard, dog. And the only thing we got to worry about is foxes and, like, weird eagles and shit like that. Like, there's no more, like, yo, I'm gonna get kidnapped. I'm gonna get hit by a car. Somebody's gonna steal me and sell me for a box of Newports. That's not happening no more. We're finally comfortable, and we have a good team. The Villanova Knicks, man. It's a team. It's not a guy and some other guys. It's a team.
Put it on the poll, please. Are Knicks fans skittish as rescue dogs? You say they're not just a guy and some other guys, but they are right now Brunson and a lot of parts that are easy to love, overachieving parts. And when you say they're a team, though, they've still got a guy they need to be the biggest scorer in the postseason to win the games. He's scoring more than anybody is, and they need him to be that because the other parts are exactly what you think they are, lovable because they're not quite good enough.
They're lovable, but here's where I disagree. You know what I'm saying? They are quite good enough because in the Sixers series, Jalen put up a couple stinkers. You know what I'm saying? And we still did it. We still pulled it out. So this team is very well constructed, bro. I feel like a Dante and OG can pick up extra minutes, can fill in gaps, can give you a couple extra points, you know what I mean, when Jalen is, you know what I mean, maybe not totally on point. But, hey, look, I'm just here to say one thing. The Knicks are fucking back, okay?
Oh, he's announced
so
it.
everybody,
He's
announced
announced
you know what I'm
it.
saying? The Knicks are back. We're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to beat Boston in 6 games, and then we're going to the finals, and we're going to absolutely have a 7-game dogfight with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Book it. DraftKings is your sponsor. Book that shit right now. Book it right
Juju,
now 'cause
you're
it's happening.
shaking your
I'm
head
sweating.
no. You're shaking your head no at him saying the Knicks are back. Why are you shaking? Amin was also shaking his head no.
Exactly, because on that play that Stugotz was scared with 26 seconds to go, Jalen Brunson dribbled off his leg out of bounds, so it's not like he was wrong. And I do not believe in these Knicks. 3 words, my brother, Timothy John McConnell.
They wasted his night. What do you mean? They'll never get that again from him.
That's it. That was what he got, one of those a season. Come on, you know the storyline. That was the rookie of the year. He got one game. You know what I mean?
They wasted the
That was the
McConnell
burger.
game. They
That's
did.
it.
And the Toppin
They
game.
wasted it.
Yeah.
And the top in between the legs game. Y'all wasted it. Tyrese Halliburton, 6 points, fraud. Everybody was like, yo, he's better than Jalen Brunson. He's better than the Knicks should have drafted him. Fraud. And I know why Amin is mad because him and Ty got the same jump shot.
Okay, relax. Hold on now. Relax.
I love you.
Relájate, mijo.
Well done.
You're my guy. I love you.
Viral decontextualization, brother.
Form is similar.
Yo, it's funny. No one remembers when Wally Zerbiak called Tyrese Halliburton a fake All-Star. That was everyone was so upset last year, and now it's like
All-Star.
This is the series where we're gonna get to see it.
Hey, shout out to volleyball, man. It takes one to know one. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he knows ball.
He's like, I know fraud All-Stars. I haven't been one.
Having been a fraudulent All-Star, I'm very familiar with the fraudulent All-Star game. Listen, bro, that's what everybody. Listen, everybody said this last All-Star game that Jalen Brunson got snubbed, whatever, and then he gave what was it? Like he was a reserve or some shit like that. Like he didn't really make it. Like it wasn't like a resounding. He's the starting point guard. You know what I'm saying? Next year, it better be.
That's one of the things I was most surprised by, like, because the Knicks were doing well, and there are Knicks fans everywhere. Why wasn't the voting better for Jalen Brunson by the fans?
That's because it's rigged. Because Adam Silver was like, I don't know if this guy's marketable yet.
Yep.
He has little twisties. I don't know about the hair.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
He's too little.
Hold on one sec.
He's a little pudgy.
One sec.
Thank you.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Rigged?
That's it. Reckless speculation. You know what I'm saying? Allegedly. You know what I mean? I'm sprinkle in there.
The Knicks gonna run into the problem is, like you said earlier, their stars and their core are having to play so many minutes, bro.
Yes.
So when you run up against a team that has subs and can actually combat that, I think that's when they're gonna have a problem. The Pacers, not so much.
And that's the thing. So I believe in conditioning. You know what I'm saying? I believe in the fact that I can't play basketball for 48 minutes straight, but Josh Hart can because he's on the Tibbs plan. If I was on the Tibbs plan, I might be able to do something for 48 minutes straight. I don't know anything that I can do for 48 minutes straight except smoke weed and tell jokes. You know what I'm saying? So
Preach.
I believe, thank you, Stu. I believe in Tibbs. I believe in the Knicks training staff. I believe that these guys are in tip-top shape, and they are all, this is a dog pound, y'all. This is a dog pound. To bring the analogy of skittish Knicks fans back to full circle, the Knicks are a dog pound full of angry rescue dogs, and none of them are skittish, bro. None of them are skittish, and they want to smoke with every mixed breed dog in the dog park. Okay, if you got a Cavachon or a Maltipoo, they want blood. Okay, the Knicks are here, B. The Knicks are here. They're here to cook. Okay.
Where were you last night? I will tell the people again. New episodes every Thursday on their YouTube channel. He does 7 p.m. in Brooklyn with Carmelo Anthony. Who were you watching with? Where were you? What was the behavior like?
I was watching as is traditional in the Martinez household. You know what I'm saying? With my 3 boys and my daughter as well. You know what I'm saying? My wife. We watched the Knicks game as a family. You know what I mean? And everybody had to go to bed because it was school and they stayed tested today. So they didn't get to see the end of it, except for Merrill III, who don't care about school. And he was just like, yo, I'm trying to see this dub. And I was like, I respect that, sir. You know what I'm saying? Fuck the state test.
That's a good kid.
I'll fight with your mom about it later. Yes, smart child.
It's a good fatherly lesson, I think. You want to raise him correctly.
That's right.
What is the difference between him and the other children in terms of him getting a little bit of freedom there?
He just takes it. He doesn't ask for permission. He asks for forgiveness. The other kids are good kids, right? They're just like, yo, Dad, you know, can I? May I? He's just like, yo, I did it.
You would have fucked that child.
Now what?
You would have fucked that child's whole life up if T.J. McConnell had won that game, man. Imagine staying up. Why'd you fail the test? I stayed up to watch T.J. McConnell cook us.
The McConnell cook us. You know what I'm saying? I stayed up to watch Obi Toppin do this. But he never did that on the Knicks. God damn it.
That had to feel so bad to see Toppin do that in that situation. That guy in that situation go between his legs mid-air in a playoff game to put you up whatever 6 or 7.
It was close too. It wasn't like a blowout at that point. The fact that he did that in the middle of a close game.
It was a 4-point game when he did it.
That's why they traded his ass, bro.
The Toppin family at that moment has never felt better doing that to New York.
Well, no, they felt better when Mike bought that with a Top Shot.
Yeah, it's still available. I've speculated. If you want a Obi Toppin corner 3, actually, I think it's against the Pacers. So if you want an NBA Top Shot of Obi Toppin taking a corner 3, that's just a line drive. Let me know.
It wasn't even a dunk.
Hey, listen.
We take Ethereum.
Hey, look. Right now, like you said, they're playing the Pacers. It's against the Pacers. Sell high. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to do with all these electronic assets. You know what I mean? Just wait. It's so high. But listen, you know who was the happiest member of the Toppin family last night? Jacob Toppin, because he went home a winner. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get the dunk between his legs, but he got to watch a basketball game courtside in designer swag and go home with a W.
What happened there?
Stugotz, that was amazing. Everything that Mero was saying was interrupted by Stugotz's inability to turn down the volume on his computer until he got scared of it and then just closed it.
It worked.
It did work, but not before your sausage fingers were trying to turn things off that weren't buttons to turn things off. Mero, good seeing you again.
Thank you.
we have an almost totally distorted environment for not just sports media, but work in general, where consequences for being bad are small or non-existent, and incompetence is a way of life. So the last thing Stugotz just said to me, and this will not be surprising to Billy at all after what that last segment was and the end of what that last segment was, this is where Stugotz lives with a just general lack of self-awareness. He just said that was amazing problem solving by me, to panic and close his computer because he didn't know how to get the volume to go down that was interrupting what was a spectacular time with Mero. That his takeaway would be, man, I was good at the end of that. That
Did
was
what
amazing.
I had to do, Dano.
Yeah.
I mean,
You did. Congrats.
Why would the volume on that computer ever have to be on?
I don't know.
Well, you're the one that uses it. It's your computer
I'm
on
not
that.
the only one who uses this. I got news for you. Some other people use it. I never have the volume up, but perhaps last night I did and forgot to turn it down.
Someone came into that studio just to turn up the volume on the computer so that would happen.
I'm just saying there's a chance. I'm saying
There's not really, though. No one else uses that computer but you. Like, you're just making that up.
I am.
It would be the strangest prank ever. Like, why would they do that?
They would assume that even you, would know how to turn down the volume on a computer when it goes up unexpectedly.
You know, keys on a computer have gotten very tricky.
It's true.
Thank you. There used to just be a volume button. It was clear what that button was. It was clear up, down. It was very clear, Dan. Now, with these new Apple computers, I mean, you're guessing. It's a guessing game.
100%.
Seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
Mine's the same way. I never remember whether it's going from 0 to 100 or 100 to 0. Is it, do you start with the left or the right?
Right.
It's difficult.
Yep.
I was told by someone in my
Apologize.
headset that the keys on an Apple computer have not changed in a decade.
Not true.
I want to move on to other subjects beyond Stugotz's general incompetence and then patting himself on the back with that was amazing problem solving by me to 20 seconds late just panic and like slam down the top of his computer to shut it. It's just an amazing way to experience everything that just happened.
I still can't get over my dad. He's like 0 to 100. Like 0 would be low volume. 100 would be high volume.
Listen, imagine my general frustration when the technological stupidity around here, and I'm not a lot better, would be Stugotz saying something and Greg nodding vigorously.
Sure, because I can relate.
Because, yes, of course.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to move into a demo that's not fossilized. And so I'd like to talk just slightly here with some expertise about a couple of things that have happened locally. One was a really dispiriting loss last night where the Panthers, in a game that once they score the first goal, you want and expect to keep the scoring down because of the kind of hockey that they have played all season. And then you lose 5-1. And I've heard Chris and Mike lately be a little scared at some of these Bobrovsky playoff performances. But that team in general scares me. Boston scares me. Tampa scares me. I didn't have a reason to be scared by Tampa. I grandfathered those fears in. But I don't think that the Panthers are appreciably better than Boston, which is no insult to either of them. And I'm worried about hockey happening to the Panthers.
Well, you're worried about them getting goalied, which one game into this series, Swayman was incredible. There's been a lot of talk about momentum because the rest versus Russ thing. And I do think that Florida last night was very sloppy, not at all sharp.
Ekblad.
Ekblad. Yeah. Ekblad had his... And he's had a lot of bad ones recently. Look, he's been ravaged by injuries. He's not the same player he was. You can make a very solid argument that he's the greatest defenseman in the history of the franchise. But that was an absolute nightmare that he had last night. 3 goals were his fault. Forsling, who at Jovanovski is compared to Nick Lindstrom, also had uncharacteristically one of the worst games I've ever seen from him. Bobrovsky put Ekblad in a bad spot. Bobrovsky was very careless with the puck. I think Florida, you don't want to say Florida beat themselves because I thought Boston played very well, but shots got through on Swayman. He was better. He was certainly the much better goalie on the night. But when you say you don't think Florida's better, I actually do think Florida is more talented. especially if they get Sam Bennett back. Hopefully it's for game 2. I also think Florida's a tougher team, and you're going to need to tap into that toughness because when you're not screening your own goalie, they're sending a bunch of people to the net, and they're making a mess of things. It's proper playoff hockey, but the whole thing about momentum and rest versus rust, this is a Boston Bruins team that had lost 2 of their last 3. For all the momentum talk.
But how are you arriving at Boston isn't as good as the Panthers, given the last 2 years of sample?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And, Florida was an 8 seed and beat them as the 1 seed when they had an historic year. And Boston's been in head-to-head matchups. I think the most concerning aspect of their head-to-head matchups, if you watch those games, they were pretty close. But
they're all one goal
2 overtime.
Yeah. But
3-0-2.
It's not being able to find joy on the power play. Are we 0 for 12 or 0 for 13 on the season?
0 for 14 in the 5 games. 0 for 14.
That's very concerning. I do think that Florida got good looks though on the power play. They're just going to have to break through. Kachuk missed an open net. Lundell hit it right to Swayman. It was kind of like the Bobbery a little bit. He had a wide open net, and he just thought by putting a stick to it, it would go in, and Swayman is a bit better than that. You hope that Swayman gives Jim Montgomery an opportunity to take him out of the rotation and put Olmark back in there. You got to win one at home. I still think that Florida is pretty well positioned in this series. I think, again, Florida has more talent, and Florida has shown throughout the season that they play a style that can match this toughness. And ultimately, I like Paul Maurice a little bit more than Jim Montgomery. They found a way to almost bottle another 3-1 against a total shit show of a Toronto Maple Leafs team. So I'm not going to go over here and bow at the altar of the Boston Bruins just yet. Florida's got to figure it out. You're back in the playoffs. It's been a week out. Get Sam Bennett back in there. Lundell was particularly bad on that second line, I thought, last night. You get Sam Bennett back into that second line. Now we're talking.
Greg, Chris, you guys are in agreement that Florida's more talented because over the last 2 years of just what the bottom line is, when you're talking about a sample of, almost 200 games, I don't see more talent in an appreciable way than Boston has. I'm not saying Boston's more talented. I'm just saying that Boston's 5-0 against them this year, and last year Boston was great and then lost in 7 games because hockey happened in the playoffs.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, it's tough to blame the week off and rust when they score first and when Boston doesn't score until the middle of the game, the middle of the second period. So I don't think it's that. I think one of the big mysteries, and this is coming from a guy who predicted the Cats would win the Stanley Cup, which they still might. But looking back one game, the biggest mystery is why everybody was on Florida and everybody was off Boston. Not only because of the 4-0 regular season, but because Boston was the better team most of the regular season.
That's not true.
Boston was the number 1 seed in the East.
They're OT loss merchants. Okay, they're not beating teams in regulation.
No,
the
but
way
Greg
that the
is
Florida
right,
Panthers
though.
are.
Boston was ahead of Florida for most of the season.
Yeah. Again,
and 1 point separates the two teams.
100%.
Getting fat off the OTL, but when I talk about the talent, and sure you and maybe some Boston Bruins fans take exception, outside of Pasternak, like say we're taking like the top 5 players in this series. There's Pasta, and then I think the rest are Florida Panthers.
Okay, but here's something, and I wonder if this concerns you, Mike, because you're obviously a Panthers fan. I try to be more neutral. It would concern me that Boston's top 5 goal scorers did not score last night.
Yeah.
They put up 5 goals with marginal players in terms of offensive guys you expect. The 3 middle goals were scored by 3 guys who had a combined 13 goals all season.
Yeah.
These are not who you expect to beat you.
They're a deep team. I thought they really wasted really good effort from Alexander Barkov. I thought, especially top line for top line, they played well. I think if Sam Bennett comes back into the lineup, you get Reinhart back into that scoring line number 1.
Yeah, baby.
And you move Kachuk and maybe Verhaeghe to scoring line 2. But again, this is a path to a 5, 6, 7 game series. You're going to lose one. You're going to get tested. Florida's so far had a very pleasant existence in this playoff. Total exact opposite of what it felt like last year when they dropped the first one and had to come back from a 3-1 deficit against Boston. Again, Boston, just his very last series, almost blew a 3-1 lead against an absolute shit show of a Toronto Maple Leafs team who didn't know who their goalie was, who didn't know if Austin Matthews was playing. Mitch Marner just decided to disappear. No one knew what the hell was going on with Nylander. It was a total mess, and they almost found a way to blow that. Jim Montgomery is really visibly nervous in post-game press conferences. So let this team feel themselves for a little bit. What you do have to worry about is Swayman, who has never played this many games, getting into a rhythm, who absolutely, that's momentum, because he had one day off. The guy's doing Pat McAfee hits on the day of the game. Like, that guy is having a moment. He's smiling. You got to break his confidence, and you got to find a way to have this this head coach over there at Boston overthink it and swap him out again. And once that happens, I think you're on the front foot.
Chris, were you as haunted as I was by Boston winning Game 7 in overtime because I preferred Toronto so much? I want the early rounds for the Panthers to be easy, and I don't like that I am sitting around fearing opponents.
I said before the series that you could combine the Leafs and the Bruins roster and we'd beat them. So I'm not a good person to ask about this. No, I mean, look, I'm not panicked yet. I blame myself for last night. The Panthers, I wasn't there to support the boys. Yeah. It won't happen again.
It's on you, huh?
I mean, I feel responsible.
Yeah, they're undefeated when Chris attends
Lucy,
a playoff
what are you
game this
nodding
season.
about?
Chris is right. It's his fault.
And I've made my commitment to the team. I told Carl, that's it. No more. I miss no more home games in this playoff run.
You told Carl?
I just more requested, but I was just like, last night I was here, like, please, don't do this to me again.
Well, wait a minute. More requested is not.
It sounds
I told
good.
Carl.
It sounds cooler if I'm like, I walked into his office, I put my fist down, I said, no more.
Be more like Miro 3.
Want to watch a Cats catch this dub?
That is Billy's philosophy. As forgiveness, not permission.
But playoff hockey is supposed to be scary, and this is. I'm scared. Still confident, but scared if that's possible.
Florida's still, if you look at DraftKings Sportsbook, Florida's still favored to win this series, and I think that Florida will find a way. It does give off a little bit of the Stanley Cup final vibes against Vegas last year. Vegas had a series that randomly got a little bit extended as Dallas gave them a little fight, and it allowed Adin Hill to really get into a rhythm while Florida was resting up, getting healthy, and it seemed like they struggled to catch up to the intensity of the Stanley Cup final. And by the time that they did, they were a broken team. I mean, Matthew Tkachuk was essentially in a car accident on the ice, and they had no shot. Right now, Bobrovsky showing you a little shaky. They are not helping him out by being so careless with the puck. That needs to be cleaned up immediately. I do think that you have to consider potentially, and this may be sacrilege when you consider all that he's done for the franchise, but Brooks Koepka was on this one. You may have to take a look at Aaron Ekblad, who's lean into what you're good at, Aaron. You're big. Now, don't use that height and size against your own goalie like you did on goal 3. But stop being so careless with the puck. It's not just that last game. It's been the entire playoffs. You've been good for one playoff game so far. Clean it up or get off the ice.
Wow.
Paul Maurice's reaction to Ekblad's game was, he'll be better, so will the rest of us. He didn't blame Ekblad. He didn't blame.
You said it right.
And he made a point of saying it's not Sergei. He knew that it wasn't Bobrovsky on some of those middle 3 goals. But you know, if the most guaranteed thing in sports right now is that we're going to see a different Panthers team in Game 2, and
that is not the most guaranteed.
Bet your
everyone's saying it, Dan.
It's his guarantee.
It's the most guaranteed thing because
you guarantee something.
Okay, what I saw last night, and I missed the next game because I was actually at the Panthers game.
Yeah.
What I saw last night was something you rarely see the past few years out of the
Car
Panthers.
accident on ice.
An empty arena with 2 minutes left.
It was, and you heard Bruins fans chanting, "Let's go Bruins" in the last couple of minutes, which was dispiriting. But the Panthers are going to come back because we saw a game last night that was extremely uncharacteristic. Paul Maurice said afterward, that was not our game. There were big chunks of things that I did not like in that game. You rarely hear that kind of language from him. Okay.
Actually, he's been one to lay into the team. I think that's honestly what they need here is him to, like a few times last year in the postseason, like mid-game, he would lay into the team.
He hasn't.
I'm telling you, that shit has helped with this team.
Yeah, but he's judicious with it.
Pep talk.
He needs to be more like Miro 3.
Yeah, he's judicious with it, and he hasn't hit that button
Dan,
just yet.
they literally gave him credit last season for just I don't want to say.
He called them P's and B's.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they went on a run. And now we're not there yet. We're not burning boats. We're not calling anybody P's or B's.
He went from P's and B's to minding his P's and Q's, and that's leading to L's.
Well said.
Lucy,
Not wrong.
It's led to a lot more dubs.
I am so tired. That was hilarious.
Is it possible, Chris, that the Panthers didn't lose not because you weren't there, but because you sold your tickets to Bruins fans?
I don't know that they went to Bruins fans. I just sold them.
Greg said there were a lot of Bruins fans in there.
There were.
Mm-hmm.
Let me text my ticket mate, see if there were Bruins fans in my seats.
More than the average opponent in that barn. I'll tell you that. Love referring to a hockey arena as a barn.
Oh, that's great.
Makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Ron McGill is here with us. It is always good seeing him. He has been to date the only charitable thing that we're perpetually involved with, at least in part because all of the money goes straight around all of the bureaucracy stuff and to helping the animals he cares about for so well, so passionately, and so eternally. Our thanks to Ron McGill. We have some things to talk to you about, including the Florida Supreme Court denying developers who wanted to build 550 homes on an abandoned golf course. That was also a sanctuary for endangered herons, who you have called thugs. How big of a win for this is this for wildlife advocates?
You know, it's a big win. Basically, the county had said, no, this was all properly advertised. It was properly announced to the public, and we said it was not. They sued, and the Supreme Court said that we were right and they were wrong. So they've got to start from square one. Listen, I'm not going to be unrealistic here. They're going to build some homes there, but the thing is, right now they're only permitted to build 32 homes, not 550 homes. And secondly, it's been already designated that that rookery has to be preserved. They cannot build on that rookery. That's another huge win because initially that was going to be all plowed over. The herons that I'm talking about that I call thugs are great blue herons. Those are not the herons that are actually the ones protected there. The protected ones are tricolored herons. They're much smaller and they're not nearly as thuggish as the great blue herons. Beautiful birds. They are protected. They are nesting. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of birds sitting on eggs right now. So it's a fantastic win in the sense that it brought awareness. You know, it showed people, listen, if you guys have one voice, that old saying I keep on saying, when the people lead, the leaders will follow.
Ron, I am obsessed with wild animals wandering the streets, and the latest example is a zebra gallivanting around Seattle. When I see a zebra, it's almost cartoonish in its appearance. It's so exotic looking, but it's almost like a unicorn to me. Is a zebra dangerous? If I confront a zebra, is that something to be worried about or no?
If I may, before you answer that, let me tell the audience, we talked about the 4 zebras being loose outside of Seattle, and their owner was transporting them from to a petting zoo, and 1 zebra was missing, and it survived 6 days in the Cascade Mountains. So my follow-up to his question would be, how did it do that as an animal that had been domesticized a bit?
Well, the follow-up, you know, a zebra is the type of equine. It's a grazer. It feeds it. You know, as long as it's got grasses to feed on, it can survive pretty well. That's not something that, you know, it's the same as a domestic horse getting out, except the zebra is probably more qualified to survive in the Cascade Mountains than a domestic horse would be. But they're both equines. They're both grazers. You know, they feed on grasses, and I'm sure there's plenty of that throughout the Cascades. So that's how that did very well. Then to answer Greg's question, you listen, a zebra is not dangerous if you leave it alone. Now, if, in your words, confront a zebra and you corner it, yeah, it could kick you, it could run after you, it could give you a severe bite, but it's not going to be something that's going to pick you out of a crowd as a predator would and maybe come after you. A zebra is going to try to avoid you at all costs, but don't try to confront one because it's much stronger, much faster, and can potentially be very dangerous in that sense.
Is it good-natured? I feel like a zebra is a very good-natured animal.
A zebra is, generally speaking, a nervous animal. You know, you don't see a lot of zebras being ridden, even though I've seen that on very rare occasions on something like some weird circuses or something. So you always have the exception to that. But zebras are inherently very nervous animals because they're preyed upon by, you know, fairly large predators. So they're not friendly, so to speak. They're not the most approachable animals, but they're certainly not aggressive.
What is the most nervous of the animals?
Most nervous of the animals. God, you come up with these questions just out of the blue. Most nervous. I would think probably something like a mouse. You know, mice are nervous because everything eats mice. You look at mice, you don't see them relaxing very much.
I want to show you a guy in Japan here eating a sandwich, and I want to show you what it is that happens while he's eating a sandwich. What are you laughing about here, Billy?
This is just a good start to
Funny
whatever
setup.
this is.
Yeah.
Right?
Can we cut that up for the Cuervo Club, please?
Yes, he's eating a sandwich. Watch this though. Tell me this isn't great here. Yes.
Oh, baby!
Yeah, a falcon swings past his ear and just grabs the sandwich.
Yeah, that's not. I think that looked like a yellow-headed caracara, which is kind of a scavenger type of bird.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like a yellow-headed caracara. These birds have probably been fed. This guy's probably in some kind of picnic area where these birds have been fed, and people have been putting food up in the air, so they've been conditioned to that. And then this makes for a great video that I wouldn't be surprised if this guy didn't do this on purpose, to be honest with you, to get more clicks, to get on the Dan Le Batard Show, because that's how social media works these days. Get something like this, put it on, and get some clicks, baby.
Ron, is it wrong to wish that bird gets sick?
Yeah, it is wrong.
Why?
To wish that bird gets sick.
Bird's a criminal. Stole that poor man's sandwich. He's just there eating, minding his P's
You know what?
and Q's.
I'd rather the guy who baited the bird get sick. How about that?
What? Baited?
What did he do?
How so?
Damn, victim blaming.
State your case. Thank you, Juju. Exactly right. Victim blaming.
I'm stating my case that in today's world, what people are doing to make videos on social media is reprehensible. Okay? And I'm telling you, I wouldn't put it past that guy to say, okay, are you rolling? Who the heck? Well, let me ask you something. Who is in their right mind going to take a video of a guy eating a sandwich?
Dan likes to watch Japanese men eating sandwiches.
Yeah.
Really? Really, Billy? Really? Think about this, Billy. Who in their right mind says, hey, let me take some video of you eating this sandwich, and let me get in the right position, in the right light, so when that hawk flies in, we can get it on video. You guys are so flipping gullible, it's ridiculous.
I want to show you this video of a Japanese man eating a sandwich.
Yeah, exactly right. Had that man not filmed that, how would Dan show you a video of a Japanese man eating a sandwich?
I thought for sure you were going to go, he minds his P's and Q's while eating a BLT, and then he takes an L.
Well, no, he'd be eating a PB&J, Dan. Come on.
My bad.
Get it right or get it tight.
Yeah. My bad.
Ron, I have a question for you. If animals were smart enough to be as good as humans, which animal would be the most into TikTok?
The mannequin, the bird, the mannequin. It's a bird that does an incredible dance, and those dances would go viral in a heartbeat. If you haven't seen the mannequin dance, Google it. I'm sure Stugotz is already doing that. Yeah. That would be a TikTok sensation.
More than the bird of paradise.
Oh, yeah. No, because the mannequin, he does like the tap dance and clicks and goes around and goes crazy. And does the thing with the feathers. They're unbelievable, man. It's fantastic to watch.
There are a lot of fear-mongering headlines about the emergence of the cicadas. We've talked before. They appear every 17 years. They are noisy. They are big. You have told us that they are largely harmless, but
they're taking over.
The headlines are, cicada palooza, billions of bugs to blanket America. Is there any other insight that you can offer us on, zombie-like fungus could turn cicadas into salt shakers of death this summer, according to experts?
What experts are those according to? Because this is this is getting ridiculous. Listen, let me tell you my advice. This too shall pass, okay? This too shall pass.
They're safe for us and dogs to eat?
Yes, high protein.
Wow.
They're loud as lawnmowers?
Sometimes louder, especially when you have, thousands or hundreds of thousands doing it at once. It's deafening.
People are calling the police on the noise?
People call the police on all kinds of things these days, so nothing surprised me with who's calls the police.
This too shall pass, Dan.
No cicadas in Florida? We don't have to worry about this in Florida?
No, we have cicadas in Florida. These are not the ones that the 17-year ones that are coming out now. Understand, there's different species of cicadas. There's the 13 years, there's the 7 year, there's the 17 years. This is a big year because I think there's like 3 generations that are coinciding from 3 different species. So they're all coming out together and people are panicking because, you know what? It makes good fodder on the social media.
Are they related to John Cicada, the singer?
Great question.
No, it's spelled differently.
Mm-hmm.
But good question. Good question, Greg.
Thank you.
Good question for the show.
You didn't answer, though.
He did spell differently. Yes. He did answer the question.
Well, sometimes relatives have
a better
different names.
voice.
Yeah. My cousins have different last names than I do. We're still related.
There you go.
Ron, Anthony Edwards being compared to Michael Jordan. What are your thoughts?
I know I'm biased. I come from the Michael Jordan era, but I don't think anybody really compares to Michael Jordan. I think that Michael Jordan, he will always be in my eyes the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says. I look at a guy who's my size and did what he did.
Yep.
It's just Listen, everybody in the freaking arena knew the ball was going. Why are you putting that picture up there now? Really,
What
we're
do you
talking
mean,
about
why?
Michael Jordan.
John
No,
Cicada.
because it's John Cicada. What do you
Yeah.
mean? Imagine 1,000 of those cicadas coming out and sounding like a lawnmower. You'd call law enforcement
John
also.
Cicada.
right.
It's John Cicada,
Fine.
not cicada.
Yep. Tomato.
Thank
exactly.
you, Ron. I appreciate the illumination. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, you have a wonderful week.
We talked about this last night during the watch party, and thank you for everyone who joined us. We enjoy doing those. They are fun and they are loose. But when we came on, the news had just broken that Pat Riley had said flatly, and this was aggregated and became headlines because people are waiting for what the blow-up might look like with Jimmy Butler. Pat Riley, who doesn't come out and talk very often, once or twice a year, beginning of the year, end of the year, he allows the organization to have one voice, and that voice is largely Spoelstra's in public. He says something that Spoelstra would not say. You'd never hear Spoelstra say that. If you're not playing, you should just shut up. Just shut your mouth. Keep your mouth shut. And Chris Cody said there is a difference between saying keep your mouth shut and shut your mouth. And I don't think Jimmy Butler is going to make whatever that distinction is. I would be bothered as a proud adult to have anyone tell me to shut my mouth in public if there's someone who's my boss. I would prefer that they would tell me that in private. But what are Greg Cody's thoughts as you see that? Because I imagine, given your general mustiness, that you will side with management, telling labor to shut the hell up.
In this case, I do. But I will say it was a very old school, old person reaction by Pat Riley, because it speaks to a day when if you weren't available, if you weren't out there competing, if you weren't there for your teammates, you got nothing to say about anything. And personally, I've got a little bit of Jimmy Butler fatigue. Look, he's had a successful 5-year Heat career, no question about it. They've reached 2 finals with him. I'm not saying it's unsuccessful by any means, but I am saying he's missed a quarter of the games he's played, 26%, I think. They just can't rely on him. And so when he's asking for a 2-year extension that would pay him whatever, $57 million 2 years from now when he's going to be 36 going on 37.
With 2 years left on his contract.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a wise investment for a guy that you can't count on. And that was Riley's underlying image. And he is speaking for Spoelstra because Spoelstra's got to deal with the fallout. If we can't count on you for 70 games, 65, 70 games, including when it counts in the playoffs, then we can't count on you.
I've mentioned a number of different times, and he has said it in a way that's not up for dispute. I've mentioned that Pat Riley does not like that $500,000, $600,000 a game is what Jimmy Butler is paid, and he's not available for those games as much as the Miami Heat would like because he comes from a different time, and the idea of not always playing isn't something that he understands when you're being paid that way.
I mean, Dan, his offseason started with that press conference. Riley's did. He's negotiating, and he's telling Jimmy, hey, if you want to stay here, if you want me to even think about an extension.
Well, he said he's not thinking about an extension.
I need you to play more.
He said, but he said, look, you're right that the negotiations have started. That you're right about, because Butler has leverage. He is now using it publicly, not only by doing what he did in the paddock at the F1 race, but also with his agent saying, like, all of that leaking was we've got maximum leverage here because look at what happened against the Celtics when he played and look what happened when he didn't. But the counter publicly from Pat Riley is no trade, no extension. Like, I know people are going to concentrate on the just shut your mouth, but what he said yesterday is no trade, no extension, and the negotiation has already begun.
All right. And if you think playing hardball publicly with Jimmy Butler goes well, I'd just point to Jimmy Butler's career because he has shown that he can make a huge public mess of things. So when you see Pat is a smart guy. Pat has gone into these postseason press conferences with agendas. He's done this twice before, challenged a superstar while they had contract stuff going on with them. He did it with LeBron.
Yep.
And he did it with Dwayne Wade.
Told
he
LeBron
issued them public challenges.
Right.
Do you know how those worked out? LeBron wasn't on the team, and then Wade wasn't on the team. Maybe that's the intent, because Pat's a smart guy. He put the sprinkles on the ice cream sundae there with the shut your mouth or keep your mouth shut, what have you, the semantics game of that.
I do wonder how much leverage an aging, injury-prone Jimmy Butler has. I wonder
With
that.
2 years left on his contract.
Right.
He got an
Exactly.
extension from the Heat already.
I mean, at the very least, they can put off this for another year and deal with it in 25.
The reason that he has leverage, and I understand why this is a discussion, the reason that he has leverage is because of how hard it is to get people like that. You may think it's easy in Miami. It has not been easy recently, and it's not been easy since they got him.
But isn't the majority of the selling, like, the friends would be coming to play with Bam, right? Isn't that what everybody says, is everyone wants to play with Bam, not Jimmy as much?
And that's usually like a big counterpoint. I know Jeremy mentions, like, all these stars, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, they don't mention Jimmy, they mention Bam. I think also in part of that is they know that they can come to this team, and Bam's not going to be the alpha. Like, they want to play with Bam because they can just take the team from Bam and be the guy.
But you can't win an NBA championship if Jimmy Butler's your best player. I don't mean to be a broken record on that.
He got them to the finals, Greg. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, he got them to the finals.
Right. This game again.
He got them to the finals from an 8th seed.
Let's not do this. The reason I want to just stop this is because it feels in some ways like the Tannehill discussion. For 5 years, we have been both right and wrong on the assessment of that can't be your number one and you win a championship. And yet, 2 of those years, they would have won a championship if against the Lakers in the bubble, it had been the Lakers who had the same injuries that Miami had with Bam and Goran.
With 2 of their best 3 players
being out. And if you get, look, the hope that the Knicks have, the greatest hope that the Knicks have of winning the championship is that the same way that Giannis and Embiid went down is that you're still standing around playing games and Jokic goes down or Karl Anthony Towns goes down. It's the greatest hope you have. So they could have won a championship. Like, they were 3 victories away, but what they needed is somebody on Denver to get hurt. They weren't good enough. They needed to be playing games and somebody gets hurt. And it cannot be stated that the experiment has shown us that what we thought at the beginning is true at the end, which is Jimmy Butler, as your best player, has not been good enough to win a championship. But in that time, we felt wrong about that because there was a minute, or longer than a minute, where Jimmy Butler was what Jalen Brunson is right now.
Let's just call it. We were wrong on Jimmy Butler.
No, we weren't wrong on Jimmy Butler.
Billy,
and, like, the argument that was just made was Jimmy Butler could be good enough to get you a championship if the other team was hurt, which tells you he's not good enough to win you a championship if he's won.
I never thought Jimmy Butler was a guy who could be your number 1 player and lead you to the NBA Finals. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So we were wrong from that regard. I'm not changing the argument.
It is.
But it's a complicated one, and that's why it's been kind of annoying and wearing on the audience a little bit because, he's a confusing player. He's not good enough for a championship, which is what the organization and fans all want. But he also proved us spectacularly wrong in that no one knew he had that in him.
But there's nothing wrong with what Riley said because Jimmy Butler, since he's joined the Heat, has not played more than 64 games in a season. Riley wants his superstar to be out there as many times per season as he can be out there.
And to that point, Stugotz, the Heat went along with this game complaining in secret. They in that press conference, they made it super public. No one likes this load management thing. And it's one thing if it actually worked. But what happened? Jimmy got hurt. And Jimmy got hurt specifically because he pump faked on a layup. Like, The load management thing does work, I guess, if your star doesn't get hurt, but when your star is also not available for when you need him to actually cash those chips in, then you start becoming very annoyed. And all those concessions that you've made and all those discomforts that you've tolerated with Jimmy Butler, because Greg mentioned Jimmy Butler fatigue. When it's going good, he wears on you. It's not easy. This has been the least turbulent time in his career, and it's not without a lot of work. He's a tough person to get along with for both teammates, the coaching staff, and the front office. And if you're going to get diminished returns on that, then you might want to capitulate.
One of the reasons Pat Riley was right is that if you think Boston would have lost to Miami if Miami had Butler, huge leap of faith. And I don't think the betting odds would have backed you up on that. Boston's that much a better team than Miami is, even with Butler going playoff Jimmy.
I believe that the single greatest thing that could have happened to Jimmy Butler's leverage is what happened, which is he got injured and we didn't get to see it all dismantled by a team in Boston that is better. And so now he gets to argue that I would have won. It's like
a good injury.
It's like Stugotz is 6'6" all of a sudden, and he's Jimmy Butler with a drink at an F1 race, which is like all those games I didn't play in, I would have won all of them.
I understand the spin. I get it. And I think largely most people would agree with you. I actually think it's not good for him because he went out there, pumped his chest, it's time, now it's Heat time, and it doesn't matter who we play, we're going to win the championship, and you got hurt pump faking on a layup. I think it's a bad look for Jimmy Butler. I don't think he actually has the leverage that the optics and the social media currency would suggest. I think that was bad.
Mike, not as bad as the look would have been. He had 5-6 for 19 games and couldn't get off the ground anymore.
Yeah, but he couldn't get off the ground, and that's why he got hurt.
But Dan is saying there's still some mystery.
Yeah, I guess.
That he tries to undo with a drink in his hand at an F1 race. Like, I would have won in 5.
Yeah, but his body broke down before he could even get there.
That's correct.
So it's like, I think it's even more. You can make an argument there's more.
No, but you look at what happened and you're like, well, okay, that just happened to Tyler Hero. And what happened is they lost in 5 games and had a hard time getting to 80 points. Might have been different if Jimmy had been out there.
He challenged Spo, too. He said Spo needs to take a deep dive on the offense. And then he mentioned defense, too. But we all know what was plaguing this team. But I would say, like, Pat, I know you're running the show there. And it's not on you necessarily to take a shot at yourself. But while you're issuing challenges over there and you want people to be available, how about we stop whiffing? And not just on the superstars, on the Siakams of the world, on the OGs of the world. How about we actually help the coach while he's doing his deep dive on the offense with pieces that could help the offense?
Oh, he's helped the coach plenty, Mike. I mean,
why didn't it work out for John?
Coach has done so much for that guy's legacy.
What hasn't worked out for John Stugotz?
As a solo act, I mean, he was there, Miami Sound Machine. He was like the, up and comer. He had a hit or two.
I feel like
just
it's
another
worked
day.
Out pretty good for John Stugotz.
It worked.
He hasn't put out new music since 2017.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's go, John.
Exactly. What's he up to? He had a star at the Clevelander on their floor inside the bar or whatever. Since then, what have we heard from him?
It's time. Mm-hmm. Pick up your games, Agata.
Just another day. How about today, John? What are we doing?
Zagaki.
And you know it.
You do, and you know it.
See, Dan? He needed the energy there, and he brought it.
That's right.
He doesn't waste it on unimportant things.
Don't waste it. If I go high in the register, and you know it, it's a serious matter.
Mike Ryan, incidentally, has now talked directly to Aaron Ekblad and Pat Riley on the show as if they're podcasting.
We bring in Pablo Torre, who is live from just getting out of bed, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very specific look, and that is not the look of I woke up right now and I walked around the house a little bit. That's the look of rolled out of bed, turned on the computer.
I think he goes for that look.
Yeah, I definitely. This is a stylistic Met Gala-esque strategy. If you look the corners of my eyes, I believe. Do you guys call them eye boogers? What do we call these things that are sort of like crusting in the corners?
Eye crusties.
Crust, yeah.
Crusties?
Yeah.
That's too cute of a name. That's disgusting. You got to call it something that makes you feel disgusted.
Yeah, I got some gunk. Amin has called me out immediately. I was in bed, unfortunately.
What do you guys do with that piece when you get it in you just flick it?
I mean, usually I get it when I'm washing my face.
And you got it in between your fingers, just a little flick.
In the sink.
So I've matured. What I do is I sort of like put it on a spot on a table nearby.
That's worse.
And I just sort of like
pick it
create
up
a
later.
little pile.
Yeah,
Compile them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do that.
Greg knows what's up.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Pablo.
I do the same.
Do you go back
So I
and
have a little
revisit?
I have a little spot, a collection, if you will, and I later will then go take a paper towel and I'll just clean all that stuff out.
Oh, wait. So how frequent are the cleanings?
This is where it gets tricky. Sometimes I forget, and so, but it's always in the same spot. There's a predictability, I would say, again, a maturity to the strategy, because otherwise, you're right. You're flicking it into the presumed infinity that is your home, because I'm never going to see this thing again. I'm just going to flick it over there as if like we're all polluting in the ocean. And then later you realize, oh, I'm surrounded by my own boogers.
Yeah, you run into it and it's like 7 feet tall now and has abandonment issues.
Pablo, how do you brush your teeth? We were talking about this earlier, and Greg was about to tell us why it's very important to brush your teeth very hard, and then Lucy said, no, you should not. You should do it a lot softer. But Greg never told us why it was important to do it hard. We kind of got a bit derailed.
Wait, can Greg explain before I co-sign anything Greg says as a general principle I have? Please tell me more before I co-sign Greg.
I think we use too much water. It's a waste of water in terms of brushing the teeth. I think if you dry brush, I think the teeth enjoy that more. You know, it's not as comfortable. The mouthfeel is awkward until you get used to it, but it's better for the teeth, which is why you're doing it.
So I did invest once. I'll get to my answer in a second. I did invest once in buying a water pick. You guys familiar with the water pick?
I shot myself in the eye with mine. We haven't had a good relationship since.
Dangerous game.
I was one and done. I was one and done with the water pick. The pressure was too high. It was spraying everywhere.
Yeah.
I couldn't control it. It hurt. It actually hurt me.
You have to use it in the shower.
That sounds like gingivitis, bro. It ain't supposed to hurt.
You have to, yeah. That's a good point, Juju.
Juju brings up a valid concern, which is that my strategy when I go to the dentist, I don't know if you guys are like this. I have a dentist appointment actually this Friday. Thanks for reminding me. My dentist appointment, I always brush more thoroughly than I have all year.
The big brush.
Day of.
Yeah, the big brush. Yeah.
You have to. Yeah.
And then you floss, so that when they ask you when's the last time you
day,
flossed, you said today, this morning.
Yeah. Plausible deniability is the name of the dentist game. Deniability that is erased upon contact with any instrument, which immediately causes me to bleed from my mouth like Nikola Jokic's arms.
You know what I do? I don't like lying to my dentist because I feel like everybody lies to the dentist. So when they say, like, how often do you floss? I'll just say something along the lines of, not as often as I'd like to, or not as much as I should. That way I'm not saying never, and I'm not saying every day, because they'll know the answer. I'll just be like, not as often as I should.
Yeah, that's good. The vague lie is the way to go.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's not as often as I should. The answer's never, but it's not as often as I should.
I am like Billy in that I, too, almost immediately apologize to the dentist. Like I should be better.
You should be really
I know
you're
told
welcome.
Me some stuff before, and I haven't done it. I hand up. This is on me. What's about to happen here, the blood is on me.
I have the most insane dental routine. I don't have to lie to my dentist. He loves me. He thanked me profusely for how much I floss. So I start by doing oil pulling, where I swish oil around in my mouth.
What?
Yeah. No,
What?
it's really good for like preventing gum disease and like helping keep your teeth clean.
Oil.
Yeah, oil. It's like oil pulling oil. So I get
What
I don't know.
what kind of oil?
It's I don't know. I got it on Amazon and it's like
Valvoline?
No, it's meant for some people use coconut oil, but it's meant for
Olive?
like cleaning out your teeth. It's called like Guru Nanda or something, and it works wonders. So then I do that, then I spit it out, and then I floss, then I use my water flosser, and then I do a tongue scrape. Then
Tongue scrape?
Yeah. I had bad teeth like growing up, so I take really good care of my teeth now. And then I do mouthwash, and then I brush my teeth, and I don't rinse it out. And I
Jesus.
keep the like stuff there. And if I do have a cavity coming in, or they're like, "Hey, watch out!"
way.
At the end, I get a little bit of like a little flosser, and I put toothpaste on
Wow.
it, and then I put it in between the teeth, and I leave the toothpaste there overnight.
You do the big brush every day.
Yeah. And when I went to the dentist, I almost thought my dentist was gonna cry. He was like, "Thank you so much for flossing. Like, thank you." They told me my teeth were great.
me.
Wow.
No cavities, no gum disease. Look at these pearly whites. Oh, and the oil pulling whitens your teeth.
What do you spend, like 2 hours a morning on your
It
teeth
takes
or what?
overall. So I do it when I'm in the shower. So I do my oil pulling when I'm in the shower. So you just have to like combine the activities.
I'm fascinated by the idea of doing all that before you brush. I brush first.
Mouthwash before brush is crazy.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Wait, hold on. Do you like brush your teeth first thing when you wake up, or do you eat? Because if you do that right when you wake up, then you immediately dirty your teeth, and you don't do that whole thing again.
No, this is all my nighttime routine. I don't do this twice a day. In the morning, I just brush my teeth. Like, that's it. The nighttime, that's when I do the full extent.
I'm a late bloomer to brushing in the shower. I didn't start doing it until a couple years ago. It killed 2 birds.
No way.
No
way. There's something about the ritual of staring at myself in the mirror and brushing.
Yeah,
You need to be at a sink.
Yeah, you got to spit in the sink, or else it's not real.
You have to look at yourself and say, "What happened to me?" When you're brushing your teeth, or you're not doing it right.
Before we get to the latest episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out, where are you with your Knick fandom, Pablo? Where are we right now?
Oh, he's back all of a sudden? I thought
we'll
we left him in Philly.
If I allow him to be back.
I thought he was a Nets fan.
I am at. These are all valid questions. It's at home. I haven't ventured into the garden. Thought about it. I live walking distance. I grew up walking distance. But everything I hear from you guys and also everyone else I know that I went to high school with is that I'm not welcome, quote unquote. And so feeling it out. Just feeling it out for the time being. Seems like it's going well, I heard.
Yeah.
It's going well.
You'll pop in Game 7? Is that what you're thinking? Or?
I mean, I might look, there's a future episode that I won't spoil in which I will attempt to return to the garden. It just may require some things. It may require some
Sudeikis
things.
Courtside seats.
A trench coat underneath a larger, far more famous person.
A helicopter.
Armed security.
Cannot confirm or deny. I use an electric toothbrush.
So do I.
Oh, wow.
Same.
Same note too, bro.
Really?
Game changer.
Nah, laziness.
Soft
Anybody
bristles.
who is that.
Laziness.
Yeah, you got to use a manual toothbrush. You just
An
have
Oral-B?
to. Yeah. Plus, it's like a workout. You know, my right arm's going like this. It's
The hand crank.
Greg, you go side to side, or you do the little circles?
Oh, I do
Gotta
it
be
all.
circular.
No, I
Really.
do it
You're
all.
a rookie if
I
you're
go
going
side to side. I go tops and bottoms.
Oh,
I go
yeah.
It's
circular.
all little circles.
The whole
It's
bit.
all
Those are
supposed
the
to be.
forearms of a man with a manual toothbrush.
Damn right.
Greg, the reason why I like the electric toothbrush is because it buzzes to let me know, all right, time to move on to another
30
section.
seconds, yeah.
I find when I'm doing manual, because sometimes, when I travel, I lose a
Clock
toothbrush.
moves faster.
Well, I just don't know. I have no idea. I've been brushing the same spot for like 3 minutes. I'm like, oh, wait, I should probably move because I get very distracted in my thoughts as I'm staring at myself in the mirror wondering what happened.
Exactly. The downside. The downside of staring at yourself in the mirror and making a covenant with the younger version of yourself that you used to be is that sometimes you lose track of time. And so I'm all about the really, like, this, of course, unites with my larger take, the best take that I have, which is if you don't have a Japanese toilet, you're an absolute fucking moron. And the electric toothbrush mechanization of all of it is a cousin to having something squirt water into your butt.
Hello.
Huh.
Speaking of being an absolute effing moron, as you put it, if you don't have one of the Phantom of the Greg Cody t-shirts on lebatardaf.com right now, you are a complete effing moron. Can we get some graphics to support this? I know I put you in a bad spot, video team. You are my heroes.
Oh, look at that.
But check them out, brother. It's my brother Greg Cody, man.
Wow.
lebatardaf.com, man. Get you one or two, man. Back to you, Pablo.
I am stunned, Juju. Thank you for the setup. I'm stunned by how well Greg has healed. Is Greg wearing makeup today? Have you guys covered this? Is this
a little bit of makeup?
I mean, remarkable recovery.
It is. I'm serious. Like less than 2 weeks ago, when I had my circle eye, blood red, and this, and I thought it was going to be 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I even told my wife, I'm not going out to a restaurant until this thing completely heals. And I thought I was thinking weeks.
3 Tylenol and a bag of ice.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just a miracle.
Pablo, you told us about what a future Pablo Torre finds out. But could you tell us about a current Pablo Torre finds out?
Well, I mean, I'm so glad you asked. So Nikola Jokic, I don't know if you guys heard this. He is about to get eliminated from the NBA postseason. And every year, you guys know, I believe, you guys are on the internet, you know what he does every year. He goes home to Serbia and engages in his one true love, the thing he loves, and the only thing he loves,
Animal husbandry.
which is horse stuff. The guy loves horse stuff. But he loves horse stuff in a very specific way, as you watch this video. He loves harness racing, which is a thing that Greg may be able to explain, but I doubt anybody else can, because it's also deeply old.
Yes,
Greg?
It is. I actually won a harness race once. It was like a media type, bad celebrity type race at Pompano Park.
Who'd you beat? Hal Habib?
What? I think I did. Yeah, Dave Barry. I beat him as well.
You were on the harness?
They claimed I was cheating, but I wasn't.
How do you cheat
I
at
also
harness
won a
racing?
miniature horse
You make
race.
them
Great
actually
question.
sprint.
Yeah,
Because they're only supposed to gallop.
Too much whip, or
If they run above a certain speed, they get like eliminated.
Yeah, but Pablo,
Trotting.
I do know harness racing enough to know that it's a dying sport in the United States. Like,
Yes.
I just Googled it, and it's like since 1967, wagering on harness racing is down 78%. And so I'm wondering, does Jokic have an idea of that? Like, does he know that, hey, you're doing something that's really weird in this country?
Yeah, it's Greg Cody level weird. For people who aren't watching on YouTube or the DraftKings Network, the photo, I believe that was Greg.
It was.
That was an actual photo.
In the same deck shoes. The same deck shoes he's wearing today.
Incredible. He's wearing a bike helmet.
Yeah, they made you wear a helmet.
He's basically sitting upright in a wheelchair, wearing deck shoes, being pulled by a miniature pony.
That's a Shetland pony.
All of this seems ridiculous.
It was.
Look at that grin.
I'm winning. I'm grinning and winning. Winning and grinning.
As Clyde Frazier would say. So Nikola Jokic, this is what this guy loves. People say he loves horses. He loves horse racing. No, he loves the weirdest version of this. And so what we did, to Greg's point, was do a study of like, okay, what is this sport? Is it actually good? What's interesting about it? And you learn that really hard to Google harness racing. It's not a sport that has an internet presence. Again, look at Greg. The second thing about it is that it did peak in like the 20s or maybe the 40s if we're being generous. And so what we did was convince the best harness racer in the world, who is a man that Nikola Jokic has quietly been visiting, befriending, at every road trip where there's a harness racing track. He meets this guy whose nickname is the Bionic Man. He meets the Bionic Man and he hangs out with the horse people. And so we asked the Bionic Man to give us the Jokic treatment. And he did. He brought us in. We got a horse. We went to a race. We competed in the race. And that is the subject of today's episode.
All right, Pablo Torre finds out. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. Pablo, before you go here, Anthony Edwards being compared to Michael Jordan. Ridiculous. Your thoughts?
Not ridiculous at all.
What?
Not ridiculous at all.
Wrong.
Thank you, Pablo.